What's going on here? How much time counting the national news break? Okay. Good. Go live. Right, one dubbing. He's got his headphones.
We up?
Yeah, I'm just like 30 seconds, 45 seconds.
Okay, we rolling to? Zach, we're rolling?
Yep. And lights on too, right?
Yeah, whatever. Welcome to the Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. Happy Monday to you. Thanks so much for being a fan of the Peak. We really do appreciate it. This is an organization that really depends on you. You know, most, pretty much all broadcasters depend on you to be listeners, but we depend on you to be so much more, not just listeners, but fans who let other people know about us. And of course, since we have a citizen journalist and internship model, we count on those of you in the community who are predisposed or maybe are pushing it a little bit in order to get out there, to get through your comfort zone, get out of your comfort zone and become a citizen journalist, or if you're a young person, an intern, and join us here for sharing the local news, the hyper local news. Maybe you can be a sponsor. In fact, on today's show, we have a brand new sponsor. We're featuring them on the program because we really, really appreciate our sponsors. They're the ones who put skin in the game and bring this program to you with their finances and connecting their businesses to our program. Maybe you can be a donor to our nonprofit. We just had a big event that if you've been listening to the program, you heard us talk about, and hopefully you were there. It was really spectacular, called Taste of the Peak, and I'll get to that in a moment. A lot of thanks to everyone who helped make that such a successful event. On that snowy Thursday last week, when we didn't even know if we were going to maybe need to cancel it, which, I mean, I don't do stuff like that, but, you know, if there's a blizzard happening, but thankfully the snow stopped mid-afternoon, the sun came out, and in an evening when, if you looked around Colorado Springs, it was pretty dead. Like, people didn't go out, and yet we packed out the Pinery. We had about 200, 250. I haven't totaled the total numbers between those who came as guests and also our vendors and staff and everybody who helped make it happen. But thanks so much for that. We packed the house. It was a really exciting evening, and all to benefit our nonprofit, the Peak News Educational Foundation. And you can find out more and give to that really anytime. Go on our website, thepeak.news/foundation. And what are we doing with that? Well, training up local people, especially youth, but adults also, to be ethical journalists so that we can have real journalism. Excuse me, real journalism in our region. And this is a way that we're putting a full curriculum together to get into the schools, which is very, very exciting. So what are we doing on this Monday? Generally, this is Business and Culture Monday, but I have to tell you, and I'm always transparent with you about the show, we had a cancellation just yesterday. The guest who was supposed to be on today's program, and it turned out it didn't work out. We have to reschedule. And so we do our best we always want to do a great show. That's the most important thing. So it's not like, hey, grab anyone and bring them on the air just because we need a warm body. We don't do that. Sometimes we're tempted to, but no, we certainly have a certain standard with guests, and maybe we'll get into that another time. But when this happened a couple other times with us where we come up without a guest. I do something called Chaim's Grab Bag, and it's really a mixture of great content throughout the show. This isn't any less of a show, but as you know, if you listen to the program regularly, we generally center it around a guest and a topic. So what are we doing today? Well, we have headlines, business and culture headlines coming up next, and then we have toward the bottom of the hour, we have Matt West of Automotive ADHD, and he does a car show and podcast here at Salem. And I asked him about car related issues that he thought were important for our local region. He says, well, there's actually a couple pieces of legislation that one is pending and one that's passed locally that anyone who has a car should be really interested about. So stay tuned for that. Then we have Jordan Baldwin, our main investigative reporter. He's up at Denver today, and he's going to be giving us a legislative update about why he's up there and what he's found out today. That's Jordan Baldwin, and then we'll be finishing with a featured sponsor, new sponsor, Chad Lewis of Lewis Custom Painting. One of our, we so appreciate our sponsors that we do bring them on. We let you know that they're sponsors, but people who love our show enough and what we're doing that they become sponsors, there's certain type of people, and we wanted you to meet them, certainly patronize his business, as well as consider becoming a sponsor yourself. And of course, we always end with Jim Miller and the Peak Rant. So you're here on Monday listening to the Peak. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. This is Chaim's Grab Bag. And I'll just say, and we're going to start the next segment with a little bit more information about Taste of the Peak and what happened on Thursday. But again, a great thank you to everyone, from the organizers to the vendors to the attendees to the speakers, for helping make that amazing event happen where the Peak was out there in the community. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. We'll be right back. Zach? Where? Thank you. Do you have a pen? Hello, we're back. Welcome. Welcome back to the Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're joining us on Monday for Chaim's Grab Bag, as I explained in the last segment. That's sort of what we do when, well, we had a guest unexpectedly cancel. We seek to replace the guest with a great guest. We, you know, sometimes you can't get people on short notice, but we always have so much information to talk about. We sort of put together a show. And thanks for joining us for it. And no less of a show, just not based around a guest as we normally do. So this is our headline segment. And do we have any dirty laundry today? Not so dirty, but you know, there's stuff that goes on around our region. But first, a big thanks to everybody that helped us with Taste of the Peak, that big event we put on Thursday night. We don't know final numbers, somewhere probably close to 250 people, if not 250. There between our guests and our vendors, we ended up selling out even though it was snowy and people were saying, are you going to cancel? And thankfully it stopped snowing, the sun came out, it was beautiful at the Pinery. So first, thanks so much to the Pinery for hosting it, and Mitch Yellen and Altitude Hospitality that has the Peak, and excuse me, and Dad's, you know, a little bit been going nonstop for a month, so I'm fighting a little bit of being under the weather, but that's okay. I'll push through it. Just happy, running on adrenaline from a great event at the Pinery, and Altitude Hospitality for hosting that, and also Dad's Donuts, which is part of Altitude Hospitality. They were one of our vendors. As far as those who helped us put the whole thing together, of course, Salem Media Group, being a great media sponsor, and Chris Gould, the GM here and Senior VP of National Programming, and he's our General Manager here, was one of the speakers, and really helped us promote and get so many people out. So thank you to Salem, and of course, The Answer AM 1460 and FM 101.1 radio station, as always. Vendor Takeover and CB and Rachel Stovall for organizing the vendors and the silent auctions, and you know, helping to promote and all of that. Thanks so much. It really helped make it special. It was very fun. We had lots of food and activities, photo booths and face painting, and sort of a carnival atmosphere. It was real fun for adults to get together and do. And you mix that with a cash bar, and it's a lot of fun. And then the second part of the evening was live auctions, which thank you to those who bid for the live auctions and all to help our nonprofit. We thank Jason Jurgensen, D11 school board members, one of our speakers, Heidi Ganal of Rocky Mountain Voice, one of our speakers, Jeff Crank by video, our new congressman, our whole board that was there, and our vendors, which I, you know, if I started mentioning them, I would, well, I'd run out of time. So thank you to all of our vendors, but I will be sending out an email everybody that was part of it to know who all the vendors were. And let's see. And that's it. Just everybody who helped us. We will be having more events, not necessarily fundraisers. That's not every time. But we love having events. We're going to have different kinds. And so look forward to that and join us for those, as we don't just, you know, coalesce around a radio show, but get together and get to know each other and make a difference in our community. And and I would say a shout out to all the elected officials who were there, county commissioners, city council people, and others who came out. Thank you for the honor of being there. And by all accounts, to everybody, it was a great event. So thank you for that. So next, getting on to business in our area. King Soopers employees allege unfair labor practices as Colorado Springs stores vote to strike. So the union for King Soopers workers up in Denver had decided to strike. Now the Colorado Springs area, though they're not striking yet, have decided to join in with them. And according to the United Food and Commercial Workers Local 7, King Super Colorado Springs meat, is the meat workers voted almost 98% to authorize the strike, while the retail part of the union voted almost 96% to do it. And the employees here have been directed by the union to, quote, continue to report to work until further notice. What are they alleging? Well, they're alleging that there are not enough employees, that they are not given enough time to do what they are assigned to do, especially in regard to hygiene, health regimens like cleaning off the meat slicers and things like that, and wanting to have better working conditions and better pay, which is generally what people strike over. So no, and it's looking like Pueblo may be joining in with them too. So they will work this out, or you might find that your local King Supers doesn't have any staff there, and it alleges, if you've ever been in a lot of places now, it's hard for people to get employees, and very often you're trying to get help. But in something as big as a supermarket, when you're going around trying to find something and can't find a person, it's somewhat frustrating. And so having more employees and better pay, working conditions are looking for. And we are going to look to have representatives. It's such a big story, obviously. King Supers is a major part of most of the people who live in the region shop there, at least in some way, to have representatives from the union as well as King Supers on the peak in the future to talk about the different sides of that argument, of that conflict there. Second article, apartment construction slows down after years of frenzied building in Colorado Springs. This is an article I'm taking out of the Gazette, a special to the Gazette by Wayne Heelman. And it talks about the fact that from 2019 to 23, multifamily developers pulled permits to build just over 14,000 apartments. Can you believe that? I mean, when you drive around, there's apartments everywhere, but 14,000 apartments in the Springs and surrounding El Paso County, one of the hottest stretches of local apartment construction in recent memory that averaged a little more than 2,800 units a year. Developers, however, did an about face in 2024 and took out permits to build just 838 apartments, a nearly two-third drop. Now, what can we attribute that to? Well, those types of things are, obviously oversupply, and there was a lot that went on, and when we got into COVID and people stopped moving around so much, and then, of course, all these property values went up where things became unaffordable, then interest rates went up, which made it even harder for people. So that would seem like a natural slowdown in the area. I don't see Colorado Springs backing off of people wanting to live here or backing off of needing it, but just think about it. If you're out there and you're a developer in some way, carrying all that inventory, carrying that loan, because I mean, let's face it, who has the money to self-finance? Generally, this is always based on some kind of financing, either from the bank or from investors that are getting into it, and those people want their money back plus something. So when there's too much on the market, it's understandable why there would be a slowdown. There certainly seem to be apartments everywhere at this point, but as someone who's not looking, I'm not sure. But that should be a good thing, because just rampant building isn't going to be good for the industry. It's going to be too much inventory sitting out there. Not good for buyers, not good for sellers, not good for realtors. Everything seems to collapse. So keeping things in balance, I'll just say, is what the free market is about. That's why I'm a small business, a small government, leave me alone, libertarian kind of person, and let the free market function. The money people who invest in such things will figure things out for themselves. Obviously, we need to have some level of regulation, but overall it's better when the market regulates itself, in my opinion. And people say, well, that doesn't work. Yeah, it works when it's not regulating itself, when people are showing favors. I'm talking about a real free market. Maybe we'll make our way back to there at some point in America. Final story, and this is fun. I didn't even know about this because yesterday was Groundhog's Day, and we had Punxsutawney Phil making his weather predictions. I did not know that we had a Colorado version of that called Flatiron. Is that the right way to say it? Flatiron Freddy. And he, just like Punxsutawney Phil in Pennsylvania, predicted 6 more weeks of winter. And so let's see this. He is a taxidermed marmot, so he's not even alive. How we saw You know, can we get a live varmint here in Colorado? We have to have one that's taxidermied, a close relative of the groundhog that is out here. And supposedly he saw his shadow. As spurious as it is that the live groundhog in Pennsylvania saw his, I'm calling this one out. I don't think the dead stuffed marmot saw his shadow, but these things are fun. And we can, well, you know, believe it. And in Colorado, you know, we could have 6 days of summer, 6 weeks of summer immediately. Like today, what is it, pushing 70 degrees? Who knows? I don't know whether, you know, going with any kind of rodent to predict the weather is a good way to go. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. When we come back, we have Matt West of Automotive ADHD. Matt,
Right here.
we're on page 3.
Okay. And I brought some of my own notes here.
Okay, good deal. And we're on Facebook Live at this point, so.
All right.
So. Actually, can you go to the corner?
Yeah, you want the corner?
Yeah, it makes it so my
Oh,
camera,
okay, yeah.
so my camera shot is doesn't have to be as wide.
Yeah, no problem. Here. Back there.
Okay, is that where you're gonna be?
Yeah, it'll be right here.
Okay. Okay, there you are. We're here.
Okay. Perfect.